All right. Peace, 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 family. Just want to say welcome in abundance to everyone that is here. For all those that are newly joining, this is your first time. I just want to let you know that I truly appreciate you due to the simple fact that you could be anywhere else right now, but you chose to be here. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. And with that being said, would you please be able to hit that like, touch that subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be aware of all the forthcoming content in the future. I would truly appreciate that. For all those who have been rocking with me for a while, thank you. An abundance of gratitude due to the simple fact that your loyalty and your dedication means so much to me because it's a reoccurring thing. So thank you very much. So today we will be getting into the subject matter of self-insurance through gratitude. Self-insurance through gratitude. And I have a phenomenal guest on. This is my brother from college. And I'm gonna give you a little backstory. I know I love my backstories.
Mhm.
So Rod G was always the person that we looked up to. So whenever he came to various performances and things of that nature, I know a lot of my brothers, they was like, hey, make sure that we on par, make sure that we got everything on cue, you know what I'm saying? Because big bro coming in town, so we got to make sure that we look our part and we doing everything that's absolutely necessary, you know what I'm saying, in the percussion section. So it was always a family vibe. He always gave us words of encouragement. He was even there with us to, you know what I'm saying, do certain cadences, showing people certain dynamics, certain things that we probably been missing. He was there just to show us, and I truly appreciate that all the time. So thank you very much, bro, for your continuous mentorship from when I was younger up until now. All the things that he posts is always in a role model fashion. He is a dynamic and absolutely wonderful husband, an amazing and wonderful father, and he is an amazing person overall. So I just want to let you guys know that this is Mr. Roderick Grice. How are
What's
you
up?
doing today, sir?
I'm awesome. Very, very thankful for the opportunity to have the conversation, man. I look forward to just jumping right into it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you being here and accepting my invitation. It truly means a lot. So with that being said, I just want to know, like, how do you manage to give yourself gratitude through all your seasons? Because every season presents something different.
Absolutely.
Um, you have various hills, mountains, you
Hmm.
have various valleys, and you climb through all of them, and you always come out with a positive and robust attitude to where you can teach others from what you learn. So, how do you manage to keep that gratitude through it all?
Oh God, man. No, that's first and foremost. You got to have a relationship with God to make it here, man. Because a lot of people um decide to take another way out because they feel like they have no hope, right? So when you understand that the things that you go through are not for you, it's for other people, right? It's for you to share so someone else can understand. Hey, he went through this, right? She went through this. I can go through that. So in everything that I've been through and the things that I'm going through currently, right? I'm starting to be more of an open book. I always share with my people, right, that are close to me, have conversations, but it's more important to me. When you speak on social media and my posts and stuff like that, it's important that I encourage the people at all times because you never know who's going to see it, right? You never know who needs to hear what. So it's very important to me that how I give gratitude for myself is to be an open book for people, right? So they can feel like they're not alone, even if they don't know me, right? I've had people reach out because it seems like I'm easy to talk to just because they can tell, man, this guy's been through someone, man. I was just thinking about that. And it's just something that stuff that God gives me to share. And I just let it go about myself though, right? So you just can't be um scared to let the world know who you are, right? Because as you go through your thing, somebody's gonna be there to either encourage you and lift you up, or you're gonna be encouraging somebody else and lifting them up.
Absolutely. with that being said, it's like I feel like a lot of things, especially as we discussed previously with like social engineering, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that starts within, and then it goes into the household, and then you step foot outside your door. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So it's kind of like a cyclic effect throughout your life.
For
And
sure.
by you showing yourself that gratitude, it's like your wife sees it, and your children sees it, and
Mhm.
your friends see it, and your family see it. And by you putting that good energy out, is like you receive that back.
Yeah,
My mom always used to tell me, when you do good, good always follows you,
that's yeah.
So it's like that's why I always try to keep myself in the midst of like self gratitude a lot, because I know previously in my life, I didn't give myself that gratitude, but I was giving it to everybody else. And I was wondering why it was like a void I was operating in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to take a step back, life start happening a little more rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to start implementing that gratitude for myself. And it's a very key thing that you said. It's like sometimes you feel called to, share a little bit about yourself through that transparency that you have.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's like, what did you invoke within yourself to be comfortable with being transparent, especially with being in such a judgmental world?
Right. It's not comfortable. I can't say that it's comfortable, right? And the more you get into it, the more uncomfortable it is, right? But it's very important that
Right.
that you do so because it's not about you, right? A lot of us are thinking right now in our lives and the things that we go through that is about us, and it's not.
Mhm.
It's not about us personally. It's about our mate. It's about our children. It's about our family. It's about even the people that you hadn't met yet, right? God have you going through certain paths in life to be in position to give somebody what they need at a certain specific time. It's destined. It's already destined for you to be there. And if you don't get in the right position, you cheat somebody out of a blessing that they need from you, right? So it's very important that you stop being so selfish. And it's not that you're selfish because you're greedy, right? It's some things that I posted something the other day from a something that I had read earlier in the day, but it's about when you sometimes when you don't do what God has told you to do it, that's a sin as well, right? We see it that when we supposed to do something and we know something is wrong, we do it, that's a sin. That's how we associate sin, that we're not doing something. But when it's something that you are know that you should do and you don't do it, that's an issue too. And that's what a lot of us do, I think, right? If I didn't take your offer to be here, right, to speak, right, I could have said, well, no, my brother was already on, he already discussed life insurance, right, which is what I do.
Mhm.
um but it's more, I'm not just life insurance, right? That's not who I am, right? That's what I do, right? And because of who I am, I'm good at what I do. You understand? So we have to stop and make sure we put ourselves in position. If you offered, I knew, well, I'm supposed to be here for a reason because
Mhm.
somebody's going to watch this and be encouraged. I'm
Right.
going to say something um, that may help somebody because they say, well, he went through that, right? Or we may have a conversation that we discussed and say she went through that or they did this, and this is going to encourage somebody now or down the line, right? So it's just very important to not worry about being uncomfortable, right? Or being comfortable. And sometimes you got to do stuff uncomfortable, right? In order to get to the next level, in order to have success, you got to be uncomfortable, right? Because if you're comfortable, then more than likely you're complacent. And
Right.
you got to make sure that you're getting yourself in uncomfortable positions because that's how we grow by going through things.
Hmm. With that, that takes a certain type of uncompromisable obedience to be able to be that way. It's like you
Mhm,
have so much respect for yourself and
mhm,
so much like discernment within that, like, okay, even though I don't have any foresight about this situation right now, I just feel like I need to commit myself to this, you know Because it's a lot of things that we engage ourselves in and we really don't know what the outcome is going to be. But it's almost like you have that blind faith to know that I know that I'm traveling in the utmost direction and I know I carry myself in that fashion.
Right.
So with that being said, whatever that I endeavor in is always going to produce good results, although I can't see the outcome right now in the present, you
Yeah.
know?
And that
And
comes
with
from growth. That comes from growth because I've not always had that, right?
Mhm,
But if it comes from going through things and seeing God bring you through it, right? It
mhm,
comes from you going through it and realizing that wasn't that bad, right? When I was very, very nervous about something going into it, once you step up to it and handle it or go through the valley and come back on the mountainside, you like, man, that wasn't even that bad, right? I was
mhm,
so that's when you start to build your faith. But if you every time you see something, you go back and retreat, you'll never get that faith, right? If you don't never um go into battle, right?
mhm,
Every time you get to the battle, every time you get to the game and it's time to play, you say, nah, I'm gonna let somebody else play, or I can't do this right now. Then you're gonna always stay or feel like you're on a treadmill, not going anywhere, right? That you're moving and you're staying in the same spaces because you're scared to take the step, but it requires faith, right? Because a lot of people say they have faith, but faith requires action.
mhm.
Things don't fall out of the sky. It requires work. Everything that you do requires work. And if you don't want to put in that work, then you're not going to get where you want to be, right? You're going to be in a place where you're consistently frustrated, right? And I know a lot of people who may be listening or who may see this, you may feel like you're frustrated, but it's because you won't take on that challenge that's in front of you, right? You have to muster up the faith because it's already in you. It's been given it to us. All of us have portions of faith. We all been given it, but you just have to realize and understand that God is with you. And if He with you, who can be against you, right? And at
Right.
that point, you just continue to go, right? Because we hard on ourselves, man.
Very.
we're extremely hard on ourselves, especially with this social media going on. We seeing and watching what everybody else is doing and saying we should be that, or we should be here, or we should be doing that. But when you put your blinders on and look in the mirror, that's who you need to see. Who am I? And who does God say I am? Right. And
Mhm,
if you understand that, everything else will get a whole lot clearer, right? Because we go and buy these cars and get these different houses and buy this jewelry because we see other people have it, right? And that puts us in a position that starts to put us backwards, right? Because now we're not comfortable or where we should be. And now we start having these battles that we put ourselves in because we're looking at what everybody else has and we're trying to do what they do, right? So it's just very important to have that faith for sure, but it doesn't come overnight. You have to go through some things to grow your faith, to stretch it, to make it seem like, I'm pretty sure you didn't just jump off the porch and start doing this
mhm.
podcast, right? It took you a while,
It
right,
does.
to say, I'm gonna do this thing, right? But it took faith, right? To
Yep.
to be at episode 31 on, right? You know what I mean? So
Mhm. Exactly. That's very true. People love investing in things of depreciating value.
mhm,
With that being said, it's kind of like when you are attracted to these things of depreciating value, do you feel like you're depreciating in the value for yourself? Because truth be told, it's a lot of stuff that we have within us that's innate or just lying there dormant that
mhm,
we haven't unlocked. We have so many portals, so many talents, so many gifts, so many
absolutely.
things about ourselves that are unknown to us. But the thing is, we don't take the time to sit down and evaluate who we are, spending that time with ourselves to know what we are capable of and knowing what we could achieve. And it's like we gather this life blueprint of quote unquote success from what
Mhm,
we see on social media or TV, just like the things that you spoke of before.
right.
And um, for me, I know that this was adding value for me and knowing more about who I am and what gifts that I have within myself. Because being here on this platform and just doing this social media thing, it's uncomfortable for me, because it's not my thing. I would do a hard social media pause real quick. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, I said if I was going to contribute my time and efforts towards something on a social platform, it has to be something of sustenance, you know? So, with that being said, I just want to, give a little, insight or a little advice to people that's out there, whatever you feel like you may be uncomfortable in, but you know that you could be really good at, try it. Just go out there and try it. Have faith that you can do it. Just like for life insurance for you, at one time, life insurance was unknown to you. You didn't know nothing about it. But the thing
Absolutely.
is, you applied yourself, your talents, your gifts, and who you are to life insurance. And that's how you were able to make that arena, successful for you because you knew you was a success. So with that being said, I wanted to know, like, is there a certain time, event, or place or occurrence that allowed you to trust yourself and knew that, man, when I trust myself, I know I can produce good results? So was there any event that occurred for you in your life that was like, dang, if I trust myself, I know I can do anything?
I can't point the finger at a certain specific time or situation or date, uh,
Hmm.
but it was because I was never afraid to try things. I've never been that I can remember scared to do something, right? Like I've always wanted to be my own boss. I've always wanted to be a CEO of a company or some type of operational manager. That just was entrepreneurship was always something that was wired into me, even though I didn't come from it as far as my mom and my dad, right? Like they're blue collar, they go to work, they come home, right? If they off, they on vacation, like they got sick days. It's not like they go in and they've been doing it for my mom for like 43 years. She had the same job, right? At the same place, right? And she's went up the ranks, of course, and gotten better and better positions, thank God. Same for my dad, but that's what I come from, right? But I've always told them what you taught me was hard work, right? What you taught me was you got people depending on you. You got to do what you got to do. And they showed me an example of it, even if we didn't talk about it a lot, because they're the substance of doing that day in and day out to this day, right? My dad worked two jobs for at least 15 years straight, where he worked 8 hours, got off, and went right to work and worked another 8 hours. So he's working 16 hours a day 5 days a week, and then turn around work another 8 on a Saturday, right? So who doesn't know about hard work when you see your dad getting up doing that every day, right? When you call him and ask him for something, it's not one time that he tell you, "No, nah, I ain't got it," or "No, nah, I ain't gonna be able to do that," right? So when you come from that, I told them for because you showed me that, I'm gonna take that and take it to another level, right? And that's my energy, right? That I knew, from trying to do music back in the days, like my people were they were rapping, right? But in high school, when we had these rap groups, I was signing them. They were signing on napkins to me, to a company that I hadn't even created yet, because my mind was already on this cool, but I want to be this. I want to be the person who put people on. And then God started putting me in positions to be able to assist with that, right? And as I tried things, I just learned through trial and error. So that goes back to the faith thing that I was telling you. You can't be scared to try things and fail, because you're going to fail, but the failure is going to be a lesson, right? And that lesson is going to help you stack, be those blocks that you're stacking to put you in a position that he already had destined for you. And he, when I say he, I mean God, right? So for me, it wasn't a specific time or date that I knew that I could do it. It was just all of the things that I've been through, right? All the things I've seen, car accidents that I've had where people have passed away and I walked away from it without a scratch. I knew he had me here for a reason, right? And as I went through these obstacles, excuse me, can't tongue tie, but as I go through these things, that's when I realized, okay, all right, you got to stop playing. He got you here. right, for a reason. And I just started trying things. I had mentors that would bring me places and sponsor me to do certain things because they saw it in me, right? And I had uncles and people that would invest in me because they saw something in me that maybe I didn't even see yet. But as they fed into me and as they did those things for me, it made me more confident. So that's why it's important that we feed into our people, our children, our nieces, our nephews, the young kid in the neighborhood. When you see something in somebody, you got to lift them up because you're not sure if they're getting that right. And if you, again, back to what we said before, if you don't say what you know God has told you to say to this person, it could change their life forever just from being reassured of who they are, right? But we can't be so combative and we can't be so standoffish because things are how they are because we're not in the position that we should be in, right? And because we're not in that position, people and businesses and children are falling by the wayside because we're not where we should be, right? And it's not on them, it's on us. We got our nose turned up, but the problem is you're not humble enough to go out here and help others, right? And you think you're in a position that you're really not. Because if you're not doing for people, I don't care what you have, you you're not in a great position, right? And it's not going to be long. It's not going to last very long.
Right. It's true. It's like we're all like kind of conduits, you
Hmm.
know. It flows through us. So when you okay, say like the aspect of money, right?
Hmm.
It's not like you went into your basement and you just manufactured all these bills.
Hmm.
It's a flow, right? It's you have to be in a constant flow state in order for you to be able to receive and then give. And I feel like that's the balance of life, period. It's things that we receive, right? And once we receive them, we have to give them right back out. Touching on like what I was saying previously, like I am a heavy giver. You see what I
Hmm.
mean? But the thing is, I'm not so heavy with the receiving, you
Hmm.
know? And that is something that I know that I have been working on within myself. And with
Yeah.
that said, that used to create blockages in me. And I'm wondering why I have all these deficiencies in these various areas. It's
Mhm.
because I was not allowing the opportunity for somebody to give to me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So with that being said, it's like that balance that I cultivated within myself, I put that same energy back out because I have to give that person that opportunity to be able to give so that they can continue to receive, but allowing myself to be able to receive so that I can continue to be that abundant giver. But I had to know my worth to know that I am capable of receiving,
Yes,
knowing
ma'am.
who I am, you know what I mean? So that I can, add that value to the world without trying to contribute in avoided state. I,
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense,
Yes, it's very important. Number one, that you know who you are, right? It goes back to what I was saying, like putting those blinders on, right? And looking at yourself in the mirror and understanding who you are. Because we so many times we want to show people who we are and we don't even know who we are ourselves, right? We're trying to be this bigger person because of this social media and TV and all these things that we're seeing and we're comparing ourselves to, and we don't get ourselves in a great position.
Right.
We have to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to stay neutral, to get our mind right, to understand that we are worthy of receive and that we're worthy of giving out. So that's very important what you said.
That's
So
very true. I do identify with that. So with that balance, and with that, inner equilibrium that you have within yourself, right? How do you utilize that to foster your legacy?
man, it's just mindset for me. Um, when we're talking legacy, right? Because I was just like you. I battled with receiving. Um, my dad would beg to differ, right? But I, just I always want to. I'm always of service. My wife will tell you if they call, I'm coming. And I had to realize, man, that's not always good. You know that every time somebody calls, you move. right? You go and doing what everybody else is wanting you to do, and that could cause some friction in my marriage. You understand what I'm saying? Because it may be something I'm supposed to take care of at home, but as soon as my phone rings and I'm needed, I'm gone. You know what I mean? Because I'm such a server. It don't matter if it's at church, if it was at work, if it was of the family, if it was a friend of mine, if they call Rod G, they know he's coming, right? Whatever he can do, he's gonna do it, right? So there is a balance to that, right? To understand that you don't have to be always giving. You gotta allow yourself to receive, right? You gotta allow yourself to get rest at some point as well. But for legacy, it's just a mindset, having an understanding of it's not just for you. Even if you don't have kids, even if you're not married, right? Somebody somewhere is watching you, whether they've told you or not, whether you know it or not, right? And your legacy is not just the money you leave, right? Your legacy is, how did I live, right? How What did I do that could encourage someone? Whether it's just one day at a time, we got to be very intentional. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm trying to teach people and show people how to be very intentional, because I'm very intentional about sharing, right? I'm very intentional about encouraging. I'm very intentional about, man, something don't seem right about my guy. Let me ask him if he okay. And I'm gonna say, no, are you really okay? Right. I was having a conversation with one of my guys. I won't say his name, but um God put something on my heart just to put something out there to my guys. Like, I hope everybody okay. You need something, reach out to me, man. I'm praying for everybody. I know we all go through, right? But we don't really say much. And just because I put that out there, he reached out to me and just told me everything he was going through. But because of that, we were able to talk through it, right? But it was at the point where he was saying, man, I was going to take the cowboy out, right? I was really contemplating that. Um, you know what I mean? And it gets real heavy when you don't do what God tells you to do. When you don't have that legacy mindset of, man, let me make sure I'm intentional about touching people and being positive, right? Like we were talking earlier when we were having a conversation, it's about being the light.
Yeah.
Everybody complains about the darkness. Everybody complains about the evil that's going on in the world, and man, this generation is lost. But what are you doing to combat it?
Right.
if you if you just sitting around talking about it, then you're a part of the problem.
Yeah.
Who are you helping, right? What conversations are you having? Where are you going to be a resource or to add value to someone's life, to a system, right? Right now, what my focus on in business is life insurance, right? That's my focus in business, but that's not who I am, right? I know who I am, and I'm gonna encourage people. I'm gonna motivate people. I'm gonna inspire people in everywhere I can, not just words, but in actions. Because if your walk and talk don't meet, it don't matter,
Right.
right? People have to see who you really are. But I'm very focused on life insurance and investments right now. As a business, we do multiple things as a business and within the business, but it's very important because it's legacy and it starts with a mindset, right? Where will your children be, or where will your wife or your husband be if you went to work and didn't come back home?
Correct.
How would that affect them? Are you really having that conversation? Where's your mindset when you're talking about that? That's why life insurance is important, right? Because it's not about, back in the day, it was just important that we got buried, right? And that we just had enough money to be put in the ground. But nowadays, you got a spouse that's making $250,000. You know what I mean? $100,000 a year. And you
Yeah.
may have another spouse that's just home, or that's just making, 50,000. Well, what happens when that breadwinner does not come home? That's the conversation we got to add. That's the mindset. And it's not the mindset of the one that's worried about who's not coming. It's my job as the breadwinner to make sure that I'm in position, that whether I'm here or not, my family is taken care of, right? So that's why life insurance And investments are important because it's not just having life insurance, it's about having the right type of life insurance, right? So I encourage anybody right now who has life insurance, who does not have life insurance, who only has life insurance through your job, you need to ensure that you understand what's going on. What type of policy do I really have? What does it say? Right? Because you have a policy, but if you don't understand it, and like my daddy say, understanding is the best thing in the world, right? If you don't understand it and don't have the knowledge of the terms, then you should reach out to me, right? Or you should reach out to anyone on my team, because it's not just about getting you life insurance, it's about you understanding what you have, right? Because a lot of times people have a certain type of life insurance that's not the best life insurance for them. It works better for the company than it does for yourself. So yeah, we definitely can help you with that. Shameless plug, we can't help you with that, but it's important. It's very important to have life insurance. So that's what we're focused on as a business, and leaving a legacy by putting more money back into the community. But outside of business, personally, my legacy will be that he was a servant, right? That he was a servant at heart. If you needed him, he was there, right? Um, to encourage. Um, if he had money for you, he would give it. I get a shirt off my back if I can, right? But you leave a legacy about the works that you do.
Absolutely. And with that, it goes beyond just a mere legacy now. It's a healthy legacy. And why I say
Absolutely.
that is because everything that you're ingesting, everything that you're regurgitating and you're providing to people,
Hmm.
and it goes beyond what you just do for people, but it's how you make them feel as well, you know.
Hmm.
And sometimes that feeling is like, especially for those that are givers, it becomes so infectious because you it's like you love to receive that smile on that person's face, or that gratitude that they receive, or just not even nothing of a true reciprocal nature, but just knowing and having the satisfaction that you did something for somebody, you
That's
know.
right.
And that's what I can say that for me, you know what I'm saying? Like I appreciate the fact that I can cultivate environment within myself to be able to deliver to people to where it's satisfactory results and I can see their progress from it, you know? Just
Mhm.
like you said, it's like sometimes all it takes is just a phrase that can
That's
change someone's day,
that's
someone's
right.
life completely, you know?
Absolutely. Yep.
Um I it was one day, it was just on my heart before I left. I knew I had to get gas, right? But prior to me leaving the house, I wrote a note, right? And then I had put a stone such as this, but it was lapis lazuli, and I
Mm.
rolled the note up around the stone with a rubber band, and I said that don't ever give up. I just wrote just whatever was on my heart. I said, do not ever give up. You're important. Someone needs you. No one needs you like you need you. And you are so valuable to this world and you are very loved. And I wrote that in the note, wrapped it up, and I went to the gas station and I didn't know who I was going to give it to, you know? So I seen a young lady pumping gas and I just gave it to her. And I was like, ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, this is for you. All right, have a nice day. And I just went into the gas station. And I say probably 3 minutes later, she ran in and she hugged me and she was like, you just saved my life. I was
Mm.
getting ready to commit suicide. And
Mm.
I have 3 children. And what you put in that note was for me, like she was bawling, crying to the point to where I started crying. And it takes a certain level of obedience to be able to even do something like that. Like it was on my heart, but I'm not gonna lie. For a moment, I'm like, why am I even thinking about doing this? Going up to some random person that I don't even know and giving them a note. They're gonna be looking at me like I'm crazy. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? That was a thought process. But the thing is, I didn't follow through on that thought process. I followed through on let me go ahead and do this and execute it. You know what I
Come
mean?
preaching. You preaching now.
For real, I just wanted to, I want to give people the duality of the mindset that I have at times, you know, and I want to show people that it's not so linear all the time. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I had, you know, like these multiple thoughts going through my head, but I was like, you know what, this is the lane that I'm going to travel because clearly it's on my heart for a reason. And just by her giving me that story, that fed me as well as feeding her because I'm like, okay, well, whenever it's something on my heart, that allowed me to trust myself even more. So when something else come on my heart that I need to follow through on, I'm doing it. I'm not
Mhm.
second guessing it. I'm not going to say what if somebody do the, how somebody else feel. No, no, ma'am. If it's something that that you need to do, just execute it. All right. You
Yeah,
are the person that do this.
yeah. Execution is key, man. It's okay to have fear,
Yeah.
right? But you don't give in to the fear. That's
Correct.
the difference, right? That we all have fear, right? At a certain period of time, but then your faith should kick in, right?
Yeah.
Then once your faith kick in, it say, "Hey, I'm going anyway," right? And because you did that, you bless someone, right? I often say now, man, anything that comes to my mind, I used to just let it go. Now I'm starting to write it down because I know it comes from God, right? It comes from God, and when He tells you to do something, right? Don't take it for granted that something came over you. Said, "Man, I need to pay for their food," or "Man, I need to go talk to so and so," or "Man, so and so being heavy on my mind." They need you. It's a certain reason why they on your mind. You better send a text. You better call them. You better go see them, right? Because what you have for them or what they have for you when you get there is what is destined by God, right? So we just gotta stop being so um lackadaisical, right?
Yeah.
Like we go through life like we got forever, right? But the goal is to make an impact, right? I name my agency the difference makers because we're gonna make a difference. We not out here playing. We out here trying to make a difference. So if I can make a difference and make some money at the same time, then I'm good with that, right? But I don't want to make the money if I'm not making a difference, right?
Mhm.
Because the money will fade away. It
Right.
won't leave a legacy. It won't help anybody for a long period of time, right? I want to make a difference. How do I make a difference? By going out and educating people, right?
Mhm.
Giving them the game, not just selling policies, right? I'm educating them on how it works, giving
Right.
them the understanding, right? So now not only are they educated, but now they can help their kids, right? With the same information, right? But we're too busy stunting. I guess that's still the term. You know, I'm getting old now. I'll be 40 this year, but we still out here doing these things instead of concerning getting our personally developing. That's what's key. That's what I want to talk about. Let's personal develop. Get you a coach, get you a mentor, get you somebody that's on the level that you see, but not just anybody. How they move. Pay attention to how they move, how they treat their wife, how they treat their kids. Right? We our mentors are rappers,
Yeah.
young babies. Right? Our mentors are vulture businessmen. Right? We don't know anything about how they are with their family. Right? We don't know how they treat their wife. Get you somebody that's in the community that you see. Right? That man, that's a good dude. And you can walk up and talk to these people, right? You need somebody, you need a coach and a mentor to help you through this life because you're not gonna do it alone.
Correct. That's a very powerful thing that you said, because a lot of time we admire people's progress, but we don't know what it took for them to progress there. And
Come on.
those journeys that they went through to progress there, you need to be cognizant of that, because it may not be in
Mhm.
the most upright or good or solid fashion. You know, everybody's wealth wasn't accumulated in a place of positivity. Some people had to
Mhm.
sacrifice some things on their journey in order for them to see that particular type of wealth. And with that
Mhm.
being said, you have to have a certain level of discernment and intuition to know how you want to calibrate yourself and who is going to be an effective mentor for who you are. Um, because just like you say, you may see these rappers out here and they have all this glory and this fame, but how did they get there? You know,
Yep.
how was that road traveled for them to be this quote unquote success that you see in front of your television right now?
And
Every
is it a success? Even it looked like a success, but is it?
right,
You don't even
it's
know the person. This is it's called the entertainment industry,
correct.
right? So it looks like success because they want it to look like success, right?
Yeah,
It's just like Instagram and social media, Facebook. we can look how we want to look,
Right.
but the people who know us, they know who we are. Right? So you can play these games if you want to, right?
Mhm.
But at any given time, you can be exposed, right? So
Right.
the, the best version you can be is you,
Hmm.
right? Once people come to grasp that you are enough, right? That you have what it takes to be who you were supposed to be here, right? You'll start have even more success because you're not comparing yourself to anybody. You're just on your journey, right? And as we get on our journey, we find ourselves, right? And we find who God has destined us to be. And as we go through that and learn more about why He has us here, then we'll get more focused and intentional, right? Then our faith will grow stronger, right? Then we find ourselves getting uncomfortable um with ease because we know it's not about us, it's about what we can do for everybody else, right? When we get a hand up, we give a hand out, right? You know what I mean? So it just, it takes time to get there, but that's why you need a mentor, that's why you need a coach, right? But you got to be very selective about who you choose to be that person.
That's
Yeah.
very true. And just to go back on something that you stated previously and just brought it back up, sometimes discomfort, putting yourself in that discomfort will elevate your success, whether it's uncomfortable situations or uncomfortable conversations, like you stated before, about life insurance. What if you do not make it home and you are the breadwinner? That's an uncomfortable conversation that
Yeah.
needs to be had. But the thing is, yes, there will be grief that will come after whatever the situation may be. But the
Mhm.
thing is, you don't have to wallow into that grief.
Yeah.
So it's like you are setting yourself up for your future self to tell you thank you when you
Mhm.
do things like these. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? When you have conversations like these, when you have like the mental maturity to be able to invest yourself into making sure that you, your wife, your children and your grandchildren who may not even be here yet, and their children, so that everyone is already set up already. It's like you're that forward thinker because
Mhm.
you're learning from your past, and you're being present. You're showing up as
Yeah.
we speak. So all that come together as this unity consciousness for self, for you
Yes.
to always move forward, be your best, show up as your highest self,
Yeah.
create a better version of yourself continuously, day in and day out. Sometimes you may not have all the answers. Okay, it's fine. But just as long as you don't give up, that's what's going to allow you to catapult your success even farther.
That's
So,
key. It's very key to do that, right?
mhm,
Um, because it's like you said, it's just a mindset thing, man, and understanding to even be forward thinking enough to be thinking about somebody who hadn't even got here yet, right?
right, correct.
My dad is very big on that. Like, I'm a grown man, I have children, but his focus is he know if he leaves today, me and my sisters, we're good as far as that. He has that set up, but he's still working because he said my grandchildren ain't where I want them to be right, because he's forward thinking about that, right? He can retire and him and my mom can live a good life right now, but it's not about him. That's not why he's doing it. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I come from, right? That's what I understand. Like my granddad who passed, God rest his soul, but he worked day in and day out, and he would go to work, sleep 4 hours, and go back for some overtime. He did those type of things, right? That's what I grew up seeing. So that's where the hard work comes from, right? I have this slogan, God first, hard work, because that's what it's about, right? If you keep God first, that's good. But what's next, right? You got to put in some work. It
Right.
ain't gonna come to you, right? God is great, but we still got to go through, right? You can be the most God-fearing person there is, but you better believe trouble coming your way, right? So you gotta put in work in order to get through those things, right? And I come from a family of hard workers, right? So I just want to elevate that, right? I wanna be the person to elevate the soul. We can use our mind just as well as we can use these hands and our physical
Mhm.
um bodies to do to do this work and show other people how to do it, right? And that's the difference. Let's tell somebody, right? Let's help some people, right, on the way. And as you help people on the way, it's only going to help you, right? Because when you're uncomfortable doing those things, it's going to help everybody else.
So I wanted to touch on another thing that you stated. You said that you call your team the who? What you call your team again?
Difference makers. Yep.
Okay.
TDM, the difference. Yep.
So with that being said, within itself, there's power in your words. There's power in the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be something that is repetitiously said, like, yes, I'm a part of the difference makers. Oh, let me do this for the difference makers. Okay, so if I set this up for us, this can make a difference for the difference makers. So it's like when you
Absolutely.
continuously saying this, you know what I'm saying, it becomes a productive mantra that is, cultivated through your being to know, like, hey, if I am in a position right now that I don't feel is the most adequate, I can be the difference maker in this. And this flows beyond just being on a team. It flows for self. It can flow in the dynamic of the household. It can flow in the dynamic of when they having random conversations in the grocery store. You could be making a difference for somebody else. It's power in the things that we say. And I don't think people really understand that. Sometimes we are casting stuff against ourselves by what we are saying. You
All
know,
the time.
we setting ourselves up for failure. It's like we shooting ourselves in the foot before we even endeavor in what we need to. So
Mhm.
that's why I wanted you to like reiterate, like what was the name of your team again, so people can know, like, whatever you command for yourself, you have the ability to allow to make it to grow. You know what I mean? If you telling yourself like, man, I'm a failure, or if you're like, you know what, I don't think I can do it, or I can't,
Yep.
you're not going to do it.
Yep.
You didn't told yourself that you can't do it already. But if you
You ain't.
in a positive
Mhm.
mindset like that, like saying, I am the difference maker, I am brilliant, I am a genius, I can do this, then guess what? You're going to do it. So
Absolutely. It's key. It's key to speak things. And even before it's even spoken, when you're thinking about it, you already discouraging yourself. You already bringing that energy towards you, right? Um, Things are going to come. So you don't even want to make it worse than it already is. Because we all got to go through something. You're either going through a storm, you're coming out, or you're on your way in. That's just life, right? That's how life works. But how are you handling those storms, right? Right. A perfect example was me and my mom talk about this a lot, but me and my wife were driving, coming from a conference in Orlando, and we went into a storm, and we were contemplating, man, should we pull over? Like, this is crazy. But I said, no, let's just keep going, right? And it seemed like it was never going to stop. Like wind, rain, we can hardly see people pulling over. But the people that were pulling over, they were gonna have to sit in that storm until that storm decided it was over, right? But if you keep going through that storm, we came out on the other side and we were just fine, right? But the fear could have caused us to sit there, right? But as we went through and we're listening to the radio station 15 minutes after we left out of a certain part of a city, that station says, it's a tornado coming right through here in this area, right? I could have I could have parked and been letting the tornado come to me, but because we kept going, right? So that's just life. Don't stop because you hit a wall. Don't stop because you get into a storm. We all gonna get into a storm, right? But we're gonna learn how to navigate through those storms, right? How to get to the other side of that storm. And once you get through to the other side, you could be helping somebody who headed into the storm, telling them, hey, this is how you get around it. This is where you need to go because you got the information, right? But if you go through that storm and then you watch somebody else go through that same storm, shame on you, right? That's shame on you because you're not doing what God calls us to do, right? Which is to make sure that we are helping each other, right? We here for each other, right? Stop being so selfish. Stop trying to hide. Look, people know what you went through. People talk, man. It don't matter who you trying to. Somebody that told your business. I'm gonna go and tell you. Somebody know it.
somebody that said something.
So you might as well make use of that story to help somebody, man. Tell them how you navigated to how you, yeah, that used to be me, but this is me now, right? And now they want to know, well, how did you do that, right? And that storyline, right? Like they said, that dash in between your birthday and your death date, that's what's important. How did I live? How did I change from this to that? What was the difference? Right? How did I start to come from being a problem to making an impact? How did
Mm,
that happen? Right? So
correct.
it's key that we share our stories, that we talk to people, right? That we just go out and have conversations with people randomly. You know what I mean? But it starts with your family, right? And from that, it'll stretch out. Start in your house. Start with your best friend. Start with whoever. But
Mm-hmm.
stop being so fake, man. It's too fake out here right now. We gotta be more real. We gotta have more real conversations. Because the conversations and getting to understanding with each other, that's what starts to open people up, break down walls, and then we can start impacting each other.
Exactly. And through this conversation, it's like we impacting each other through the action of being
Mhm.
able to develop dialogues such as these. So
That's right.
people can have these gems to take away with them and say, you know what, I did hear that once before. So let me implement some plans to make myself better because it's all about growth at the end of the day. And
Right.
like I love to say, everything. When I say everything, I mean everything feeds my growth at this time in my life. It's
Mhm.
nothing that I'm trying to sweep underneath the rug or put in the closet for later or that I am reluctant to look at. I can't be that way because um, that develops a pressure cooker effect for me.
Mhm.
Because once you have one thing and something else pile up and you don't want to deal with it, then some
Mhm.
more just come start piling up and then it just becomes overwhelming to where it's intolerable,
And
you know?
it's self-inflicted though. Those are self-inflicted wounds. We're doing that to ourselves because we don't want to deal with it. Right? We get to it, we turn around. So then we say, all right, I'm ready. And you get to it now, it's two things there instead of one, right? And it just keep the wall just keep getting bigger because we don't want to deal with it. And then when we finally decide to deal with it, and we start hammering at it with this little hammer, and now we need a doggone heavy machinery to
Yeah.
knock down this wall because it's so much that we're going through because we don't want to talk about it, right? Or we don't have enough faith to get through it, or we don't have a coach or a mentor who can tell us about it, right? All of this stuff, it goes together, right? All of it goes together, man. And spouses go through things because they don't speak, right? Siblings go through things because they don't talk to each other.
Mhm.
Parents, kids go through things because they don't have real conversation, right?
Right.
We got to stop that, especially in our community, man. We got to be more open. We got to have conversation, right? As we have conversation, then we get an understanding, right?
Mm,
That's whether it's business, family, relationship. Is key to have an understanding, right? It don't
mm,
matter what the outside world sees, thinks, or knows. As
mhm.
long as you have an understanding within your relationships, they become solid, right?
Correct.
And it's very hard to break down when you have that understanding.
Correct. Because you have the ability to be with the person through the sunshine and through the storm, and especially with your family. And
Mhm.
then that's what builds the bond even closer, without any judgment, without any ridicule, without even feeling like, man, I'm embarrassed to even, expose these parts of me. But it's not even about that. It goes beyond that. Know how you can be helped. Know how you can be assisted. Know how you can elevate from this. You know what I'm saying? Remove the shame and implement some measures of wanting to help yourself and others.
Yep.
So something that I do want to, and I'm just going to speak it out into fruition, and I want it to happen because I'm gonna speak it out because it's power in our words, right?
Oh,
And it may be an uncomfortable conversation, correct? But I'm trying to leave a legacy, right?
that's it.
Okay, so with that being said, it's like I want to have this conversation with my family and close loved ones, or even on this platform, and develop a forum to where I can help those who, struggling with their credit or want to know how they can build up their bank account, or hey, what do I need to do to put in this fund, entrepreneurship fund,
Mhm.
for my children, or build another fund to where they can do whatever they see fit, but they have to have a plan, whether it's entrepreneurship or they want to work a 9 to 5 or they want to go into the military, whatsoever may be the case. I want to that is like my next goal, and I have to speak it out. You know what I'm saying? Get it out there so I don't hold it in. So I'm
Mhm.
not creating more blockages like
Right.
I'm used to doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Redeveloping these old mental paradigms that I used to have of like, oh, is somebody going to ridicule me because of this? No.
Mhm.
Um,
So
this
what?
is right. So what? Exactly. I want to do that, and I want to build a team to where we can start receiving like donations and things of that nature, so I can help that individual that I seen in Washington D.C. that's outside of the White House who don't have nowhere to go, that's homeless. Or I can feed this individual that's down the street that I seen that been on the same corner for the past 2 weeks asking for money. Like I want to develop that so that I can help more people and have more of an outreach. So I'm speaking that out into existence. And why I said that, because I wanted to bring home all together all the conceptualized notions that we spoke about in this dialogue to leave this legacy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just me. It took for you to pull out this dialogue out of me in order for me to even be, in this
Yeah.
setting to want to deliver this information. It may be uncomfortable for me because I'm not used to doing it, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with that being said, I'm truly grateful for the genuine dialogue that we had today, bro. It means a lot to me. I hope people can get some type of substance and some type of information, or pick up a gem or two or 10 from what you have stated, because you have definitely put down some prolific concepts that people can utilize. Is there anything else that you would love to deliver prior to us signing off?
Oh man, add value to people's life as much as possible. It don't matter how small you think it is. Sow a seed and water it, right? Because in order to have any type of growth, you got to sow a seed, right? You got to be sowing seeds everywhere, right? Because if you only sow one seed and you sit there and look at it and you don't water it, then that seed might not make it, right? Sow seeds, whether it's be in action, whether it be monetary, whether it be a lift up, a hand up, whether it be helping somebody about giving your testimony or your story. Add value, right? Whether you're at work, whether you're at church, try your best to be intentional about adding value. And I promise you, if you do that and you sow those seeds, you'll start to see your life turn around, because you're not making it about you. You're making it about others, right? And whether we like it or not, we need each other, right? So
Correct.
that's what's important to me. Look, I appreciate the opportunity to be on the Catalyst Conversation, the 31st on the 31st, right? I appreciate it. I'm proud of you and what you're doing, sis. Keep doing it. Anytime you need me, call me. But yeah, let's be intentional, people. Let's add value. Let's have those hard conversations, and let's stop turning around in the time of fear. Right? We gotta go through those things, because in order to grow through it, in order to go through it, you gotta grow through it. Right? Yeah. God first, hard work. I always gotta say that. That's the motto, man. God first, hard work, and we appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much, bro. I truly appreciate it. And one more thing before we get out of here. This is the 31st conversation on the 31st, and I I love my numbers. So 3 plus 1 is equivalent to 4. 4 always represented to me a foundation. If you look at the legs on the chair, it's 4. Yeah, you got to sit down and be stable. When you look at the legs on the table, there's 4. So setting the foundation for yourself, setting the foundation for your family. Life insurance, that's very important. So make sure that you get in contact with my bro so that you can get all the information that's needed for life insurance. I will be dropping all his information down into the description box, so you guys can definitely contact him. He will give you a quote and he will set you up, tailor fitted to you and your family needs for sure. And I just want everybody to know, set that foundation, set yourself up for success, set your family up for success, and you will always be guaranteed with wonderful results, no matter if you're going through the light or you're going through the darkness. It complements one another. You won't know one without the other. So you have to be able to go through all of it. Once again, thank you, bro. You are truly dynamic. I appreciate who you were. I
Absolutely.
appreciate who you are. And I truly am excited for who you are to become. So thank you again.
Absolutely.
Gratitude.
You're
All
welcome.
right.
Sis.
With that being said, everybody, y'all take care and peace.
See y'all later.